smell of sawdust still clings to me, a ghost of the man I was. By day, I'm Eduardo, the carpenter. I swing a hammer, measure twice, cut once. But when the sun bleeds out and the city lights flicker on, something else awakens. A hunger, not for food, but for more. A primal need to grow, to tower over these concrete canyons. At first, it was just a fever dream. Now, it's a second consciousness clawing its way out. My mind, my thoughts, they're tangling with something ancient and furious. It's like two separate beings fighting for control of this body. The transformation isn't just physical anymore. It's a battle for my soul. I tried to fight it. Pills to dull the senses, locking myself in my workshop, hoping the familiar scent of cedar would chain the beast. But the pain. It's a fire in my bones, and with it come the whispers, a voice deep and resonant like the earth itself, echoes in my skull. You are the storm that rebuilds. It promises purpose, a reason for this agony. But what kind of purpose comes from this monstrous change? I see my hands, scarred from years of work, begin to stretch and warp. The skin thickens, hardening into something like bark or scales. The whispers tell me I'm becoming a god. I look in the mirror and all I see is a monster. Meanwhile, miles away in a sterile lab, my creators were getting nervous. Helix Biotech. They'd lost their prize experiment. Me. They couldn't have their billion-dollar weapon just wandering the streets, could they? So they sent a cleanup crew. Strike team, armed to the teeth, ready to hunt. Leading them was a face I'd see in my nightmares for years to come, Dr. Lena Strauss, the architect of my destruction. The woman who injected the Kaiju Gene into my veins. She didn't come to talk. They found me in the old shipyard, the transformation racking my body. The metal groans of the derelict ships were nothing compared to the sound of my own bones rearranging themselves. The strike team surrounded me, their rifles looking like toys. And then she stepped out from behind them. Eduardo, she said, her voice devoid of any emotion. Subject KO1, it's time to come home. Home. I never had a home. It's just this city, this workshop. She held up a device, a strange-looking syringe. This will help with the discomfort. That's when I finally found my voice, a sound that was half man, half beast. What did you do to me? The words ripped from my throat, raw and full of pain. I didn't want their help. I wanted answers. Why me? Dr. Strauss almost smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing. You weren't chosen, Eduardo. You were a gamble. We needed a host with a specific genetic marker, someone strong enough to survive the initial cellular fusion, your physical resilience, your history of enduring hardship. You were the perfect candidate. Tricked. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't a destiny. I was just a lab rat, strong enough to survive the experiment. The betrayal hit me harder than any physical blow. The whispers in my head stopped being whispers. It became a single, deafening roar. All the pain, the confusion, the fear, it coalesced into pure, unadulterated rage. The world went red. The ground beneath me cracked as I grew, my body finally giving in to the change. The strike team opened fire, but their bullets just sparked against my newly formed hide. I was no longer Eduardo the Carpenter. I was the storm. I swatted their vehicles aside like flies, their shouts turned to screams. Through it all, I saw Strauss, her face finally showing a flicker of fear as she backed away towards the gleaming Helix Tower, the monument to her ambition. That tower, the symbol of my stolen life. The whispers screamed a single word: rebuild. But to rebuild, first you must clear the ground. I felt my instincts take over completely. This wasn't just a blind rampage, it was a targeted demolition, an act of will. My human mind was still in there, a passenger in this vessel of wrath, and it agreed with the monster. They would pay. I charged towards the Helix Tower, a spire of glass and steel. It was a tombstone, and I was there to carve the epitaph. The tower shattered under my assault. Glass rained down like deadly confetti. The screams from within were muffled by the sound of collapsing floors and twisting metal. I didn't stop. Didn't think. I just destroyed. It was the first time a human mind had deliberately wielded the power of a kaiju, an act of vengeance, not just instinct. When the dust began to settle, I stood in the heart of the wreckage. The city was silent, holding its breath. Helicopters buzzed in the distance, their spotlights painting me against the ruin I'd created. They didn't see a hero. They didn't see a victim. Looking at their city's broken skyline, they saw a dark god, born from their own hubris, and they were terrified. I was terrified. What have I become? Thanks for watching episode 2. The story is just getting started. If you want to see what happens next in Eduardo's journey, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. I'll see you in the next one.